So I will say a few words. Thank you so much that you take your time to get in a dialogue. Because when I was a student at psychology, you were the first who opened my eyes for not European psychotherapy. Thank you so much. You have been in Vienna 25 years ago, and you have been a lecturer there. You're a real expert. Thank you so much for your time. We are looking so forward to talking to you and to get in a dialogue. We have some fixed questions, but also we want to get in a talk. So I will start and introduce a little bit, not a lot, and then it's up to you to say what you want to say to introduce yourself, and then we get into dialogue.
Okay.
As I said, you're an expert. You're an expert as a professional, a practitioner, and you're a professor. You are also somebody who wrote about 150 articles. Yeah, that's really huge. So you're a scientist. And you're an expert in two worlds, I think. You're an expert. You have been said to me that you have been trained in person-centered psychotherapy in Austria. So you know the Austrian way or humanistic way of working in Europe. And then you moved back to Nigeria and you're a professor. You have been a professor there and you're a founder of a huge, I have to read, a school of psychotherapy and health service in Nigeria. You're also someone who is the president for Africa and the World Council for Psychotherapy, and I'm looking so forward to hear what you have to say about what can we learn from African point of view in psychotherapy, and what is the similarity or the difference you see between Europe and Africa in psychotherapy. But before we start with questions and all that stuff, what do you want to say about yourself so that we can get in contact with you, or we can what would you like to say?
I think you've already said a lot or much about me. Maybe to repeat, my name is Sylvester Ntomchukwu Madu, a professor of clinical psychology and psychotherapy. Retired. I retired 3 years ago. Yes, and I studied in Innsbruck. I was trained in Innsbruck, University of Innsbruck, in the 1980s, a long time ago. I also trained as a client-centered psychotherapist there. My trainer was Dr. Christoph Fischer. Yes. Then I went back to Nigeria, lectured, at the premier University of Ibadan, for some years, and then came back to Vienna, and on sabbatical leave or long time leave, and there in Vienna, I lectured at the University of Vienna Department of Psychology on part-time basis for some years. At the same time, I was also a psychologist at the Ips and the Donau, Therapy Centrum Ips and the Donau. Yes. And I also had my private practice that time. That was in the 1990s. Okay, then from there, I left for South Africa, University of Limpopo in South Africa, where I stayed for 12 years. And, there I lectured, clinical psychology, psychotherapy, and there I became a professor, right, in 2004. Yeah. Then from there, I eventually headed back to Nigeria in 2009. And since then, I've been in Nigeria lecturing at different universities. And as I said, I retired 3 years ago. But before my retirement, I established the School of Psychotherapy and Health Sciences, in my hometown, Okija. There we, train intern students, postgraduate students in the area of psychotherapy, especially client-centered psychotherapy, and my colleague specializes in rational emotive behavior therapy. So two of us mainly, we train students. We have a 3 months program, 6 months program, 1 year program. And postgraduate students, they come for the training. We also give them the opportunity for self-experience in psychotherapy, what you would call Eigentherapie in German. Yes, Eigentherapie. So we give them that experience. And we also treat some clients that come to the institution for psychological help. And lastly, but not the least, we publish the International Journal for Psychotherapy in Africa. Very, very, popular journal now. We have just released volume 11, number 2. And we are gathering articles for volume 11, number 3. Yeah. So these are some of the things that are keeping us busy down here. Yes.
Yeah.
I was happy to come to Vienna in July last year for the World Congress on Psychotherapy, which took place at Sigmund Freud University in Vienna. Yeah, at least that helped me to refresh my German a bit. And
Opportunity, huh?
yes, it was.
Did you meet people you knew from before?
Yes, of course. Yeah,
Oh,
like
super.
Pritz,
Yeah.
Alfred Pritz, Professor Alfred Pritz. Yes, he, even when we were opening the School of Psychotherapy and Health Sciences in Nigeria, he came all the way from Vienna to, to see the institution and to, help us to open it. And we have a kind of affiliation with them. So, and then I met many of my other colleagues, those I haven't met before of a long time. Yeah. So I think that's the much I want to say now. If there are questions, I'm ready to answer.
Thank you.
Yes.
I would like to not start with a question, but with a personal statement. And I think I have to apologize, Professor Madu, because the email contacts we had before, I was addressing you as Professor Sylvester Madu, and I didn't mention
Ntomchukwu. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Yeah, I am popularly known.
I apologize for that, and I
No. You don't need to apologize. In Austria, I am popularly known as Sylvester.
Yes, in Austria, but
Yes.
in a whole aspect and concerning also your culture and your big background, I feel a bit ashamed because I left it, and I just want to apologize.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah.
And I would like, and maybe there comes a question due to the cultural aspect. I don't know if you know Dr. Thema Bryant. She calls herself a psychologist, minister, and sacred artist. And I like to listen to her experiences and to the people she talks. And once she referred to psychology and psychotherapy and the cultural aspect. And it was not exactly word, but the summarize was just, it was because of the colonization and all that what happened to the African nations and the African country, and not countries and nations.
Yes.
And after and she just mentioned after they took us everything, our culture, our families, our futures, they came back, and they came back without songs, They had no dancing and they had no storytelling. They separated us and they put us out of the sun into dark rooms. And then we had to say, sorry, you have to leave because you're not very helpful. And I think this is a really good expression for the cultural aspects. And as you have many experience in not only in different countries but also in different continents, I'm just wondering how the aspect of the psychotherapy aspects of the person-centered therapy that you've learned here in the center of Europe, which aspects are helpful, let's say in Nigeria or wherever you are doing your work. Because I think there's a completely different way of working with people, or the context is completely different.
Yes. So what is the question precisely?
And the question would be concerning the person-centered and experiential psychotherapy. What are the main items that are helpful in your daily work with the people in the...
Okay. Yeah. One thing fundamental is that human beings are the same all over, right? We all have emotions, we all have thoughts, we all have feelings, we all have behaviors, right? Yeah. So the principles, the basic principles, the basic tenets of client-centered psychotherapy, applies also to Africa. For example, genuineness, unconditional positive regard, and empathy. I mean, these three aspects apply to, is very fundamental, very fundamental with all human beings, right? But then where the difference now comes is in when we start to consider the cultural differences, in the application, the cultural differences. Okay, yeah, one has to really be culturally competent in order to be able to apply these key qualities in the culture where the person is practicing. One also has to be to a certain extent language competent in the place or country or region where the person is practicing psychotherapy, right? One has to be will I say knowledgeable and sensitive to certain cultural practices, right? Yeah, so on the one hand, genuineness, unconditional positive regard, empathy can be applied to all human beings in the whole world. That's my own view. But then the application, the real application, in the cultural context, in the situation, one has to really be culturally competent, knowing certain aspects of culture so that you don't breach certain cultural rules and norms unintentionally. One also has to know the language, so that you'll be able to communicate, because in therapy, you have to be able to communicate with the people. Yeah. And you have to really be able to understand the clients from their own perspective, how they feel, how they think, I remember very clearly when I was in Vienna, And I had a colleague, I don't want to mention his name because you will know him. He's from Vienna, and he was, well-known psychotherapist. And the government of Austria that was taking care of refugees, who were in refugee camp that time, they were sending some clients from Africa who were in the refugee camp and who developed some psychological problems while they were in that refugee camp.
Yeah.
So they were sending these clients to him because he speaks very good English, very, very good English. I think he went to England and did part of his studies there, so he speaks very good English.
Yeah.
But the cultural aspect, the cultural background of these clients, he didn't know it. The expectations of these clients, cultural expectations and the expectations from home, which mostly cause some of the psychological problems.
Yeah.
He didn't know it. So
Yeah.
he had to call me. He phoned me, said, Sylvester, please come. I have some of your people here, and it's like he couldn't understand them. They couldn't understand him. Not in terms of language, but in terms of expectations and, cultural competence. So I had to go to him and, help out as a co-therapist, and, when these clients, they saw me and we could speak in the language we understood, we could even crack jokes, even before they say a few things, the expectations from home and all that, I knew it. I even completed what they were saying, for them. They felt so relieved. They felt so good, So that's just an example of issue of cultural competence. So here in Nigeria, for example, while we treat also people that have anxiety, depression, and all that, but we know how they think, how they behave, their expectations, and all that, and that makes a creation of rapport very, very easy.
Yeah.
Because you need to create rapport with these clients so that they feel that you understand them and you also feel that you understand them and they understand you. Yeah, when the rapport is there, then therapy is easy. And at times, not all clients can speak English. I mean, here in the villages, they speak half English, they switch over to Igbo, which is our mother tongue, and at times they switch over to Pidgin English, which is also very popular here in Nigeria. And you follow them because you are competent in those areas.
You're competent in those areas, and you're competent in the history, and you're competent in the roots that may cause to the symptoms they have right now. Yeah.
Exactly.
And is it also about pictures you have in your mind when you listen to them that you can connect to, or do you rather connect to shared experiences? Or because you say these cultural competencies on many, many levels, could you name a few so I can get a grasp of it?
Yeah, you've already mentioned a few. Okay, when a client is coming and say, for example, just let me give one example. A lady who is newly married, and our communal way of living in the family. And then all of a sudden, this lady feels kind of pain in her neck. Okay, yeah, and the lady, while narrating about this neck pain, says that she suspects that she has been bewitched by her mother-in-law, yeah, who never even wanted her to be married into the family, who has never had a good rapport with her. And a day before this pain started, they met each other, and the way the woman looked at her, she suspected, that she, had a bad look at her, So when such a person comes to uh, in therapy and presents such a problem, you as an African, as a Nigerian who understands what is meant by bewitchment, what is meant by mother-in-law syndrome, okay? And what often happens when such people are living together, this in communal life, then you would understand her from her perspective, and not just, maybe in reality, it is actually a case of somatization, right? She has been going through a stressful situation, and the thing just somatized, and she started to feel pain there and all that, which means there's nothing to do with the mother-in-law. But you need to understand her from her own perspective. You need to understand where she is coming from. If not, you cannot, help her. You cannot create rapport. She needs to feel understood. She needs to feel understood.
And
Yeah.
if you don't have that competence, you might it will take a long time until maybe the person herself comes to the conclusion that the family topic and the body topic and the feeling and everything are connected. But if you know it, you can offer it, and you feel it, and maybe she can pick it up.
Yeah, you see, if you don't understand it, if you don't have that competence, then at a time during the therapy session, the client will feel, this therapist doesn't understand me. Two of you is like you'll be talking at two parallel lines. You see, and once the client feels that this therapist does not understand her, then the mind will be out. The mind will go out, and once the mind is no more there, you can hardly help such a person. Yeah.
And
So
the mind is not there, the heart is not there, the soul is not there, so the whole person is not there, right?
Exactly. She would prefer to just stop the therapy and go, because you don't understand her. Yeah. So
Yeah,
that's just an example.
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for this really impressive example, because it shows and points out so much how important it is to share pictures, to share perception and habits.
Yes.
And I want to add another question in a completely different direction, but I think it's quite okay to pose this question now, because we have a debate of decolonizing psychotherapy in Europe, because with our Western European point of view of telling and thinking about psychotherapy, and Africa is so rich in about psychotherapy techniques, or even to help Ubuntu, for example, or all that other things. And I would ask you, what can we learn from African psychotherapy? What is the difference, and what is the enrichment possible?
Okay. Well, you see, my general attitude is that in this world, no one knows it all. No one knows it all.
Mm-hmm.
You learn from others, and others learn from you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, um, yeah. It depends. It depends. There was a time a few months ago, let me say it, a few months ago, I gave a lecture to a group of psychotherapists in Germany.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, in Germany, yes, and and the center of the lecture is on how a German psychotherapist um, should be able to handle an African client living in Germany. Okay? Yeah. There are some African clients, Africans living in Germany, Africans living in Austria.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them may develop some psychological problems, anxiety, depression, and the rest of them, uh, due to what, due to what, due to their expectations, due to their background, due to the baggage they came with, due to the surprises or new things that they are meeting, which they did not expect to meet, in Europe. Uh-huh. Um, and due to misconceptions that some of them had, I can give you a practical example. I would say 70 to 80% of young people in Nigeria want to travel abroad. What's the reason? They feel that when they travel abroad, they can easily make money and be sending money back home, and within short space of time they will be build a house, buy a car, do this and do that. But in as much as it may be true, but some confuse it with the idea that when you are walking at the streets of Vienna, you'll be picking dollars and euros on the streets. That you can easily, be picking that money. They don't know that hard work, is also attached. It's a sine qua non for making that money that they think that they will make when they come. And that's what we talk about Japa syndrome. Japa syndrome.
Japa syndrome?
Japa syndrome, JAPA syndrome. Okay? Yeah. That is, many young people want to leave as fast as possible, go to Europe, America, or China, make as much money as possible within a very short space of time, and come back and be flashing money here and there, building houses and buying cars, within months and all that. We refer to it as Japa syndrome, right? Which, maybe one or two in the whole village traveled and came back within 6 months and started building houses and all that. And they generalize it. They think that it is everybody who travels will make that money so quick. They don't know whether that guy who made it that way, whether he made it through fraudulent means, whether he was into drug trafficking, whether he was into human trafficking and such things, which nobody knows, nobody sees. But what they see, what people see, is that within 6 months he traveled, he's now building an upstairs in his village. He has now bought 2 cars. You know, these are things that people see. The other things that people don't see, they don't know it. You understand? So, so people, if when you have that, you know, kind of idea, a young man has that kind of idea, travels to Vienna, travels to Germany, and he is not able to make it within that 6 months or 1 year. Maybe he even sold the only piece of land the parents have at home, you know, to be able to raise the money with which he can buy the ticket and then travel. And then there in Vienna, he feels frustrated. He has to go and surrender himself at the refugee camp so that he'll be able to eat morning, afternoon, and night and clothe himself. That is the basic thing he will get. But that is not what he came there for. In Nigeria, he was able to eat 3 times a day. He was able to make some gains, able to carry out some projects, you know, but that wasn't enough for him. He wanted more, you know, and then now he travels, gets there, things are not as rosy as he thinks. Then he gets anxiety, starts to set in, depression starts to set in. He starts to ask himself, did I come here only to eat morning, afternoon, and night? That is not why he is there. And the shame to go back to Nigeria with nothing will not allow him to go back.
And not being the hero he wanted to be when coming back. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, then depression, anxiety, frustration, you know, all sorts of things. And for sure, if the people where he's staying has insurance cover for the refugees, then they bring him to you for psychotherapy. And if you don't understand his background, his expectations, and all that, you two of you will be at parallel lines. So what is what I encouraged the German psychotherapists, one of my recommendations is be open to listen to them, be open to ask them their expectations, be open to ask them the expectations from whom, be inquisitive in knowing more about their background. Because when they come to you, they may just present that they are depressed, that's all. But what made them to be depressed, you don't know. And if you ask them about the conditions in the camp, in the refugee camp, the conditions may appear normal. They are given food morning, afternoon, and night. They are given clothing. When they are sick, they are taken to a doctor and all that. Then you as a therapist may be tempted to ask yourself, what is the problem of this guy? He is being provided with everything that he needs. You know, he is being provided with everything, food, clothing, everything. So what is his problem? Why is he depressed? You see, while from his own perspective, he is not even receiving 1/10 of what he expects before leaving his own country. So open up and, you know, ask, what's your expectation in Austria? what are the expectations of your people at home? Some of them are even married and have children. And the family, the wife and the children, they are expecting that every month he sends, like, say, 200, 300 euro to them, so that, for their upkeep. But here he has stayed 6 months, nothing is coming. That alone is enough to make him to be depressed.
Yeah.
That alone is enough to make him to have anxiety, to have high BP, high blood pressure.
Yeah.
You see? So this is just one point out of many.
Yeah. And while you were talking, memories came in my mind, and I'm wondering if you made the same experiences. Many years ago, we invited doctor from Nepal, Ntomchukwu, and to make consultations with patients in Austria. And his family background was that all members of his family have been refugees from Tibet, so Tibetan refugees. And he's a very well-known medical doctor, and he was used to travel around, and he was used also to the Western culture. And she was staying at our home. Nawang was staying at our home for a few weeks and seeing consultations, just a few patients a day, and not that huge amount he had in his home country. And after 3 or 4 days, I just recognized that there's a shift in his being and in his behavior. He was eating a lot, eating all the time. He couldn't sleep. He stopped talking, and he was a really good talker and also very funny man. He didn't make any jokes anymore, so he really had some kind of depression symptoms. And when I asked him, like, hey, Nawang, what's wrong with you? And he just looked at me and said, well, you're such a rich country. And at some point, I think the people are so poor inside them. And then he talked about, and I'm not quite sure, and I think he talked about a web of interconnectedness that he's used, and not just between people, but also among all forms of life and everything that's around him. And I think that was one of the reasons why he showed some kinds of depression. And I'm wondering if you made similar experiences while you've been in Austria or in Germany or something like that? No.
Okay. While coming to Austria, I had definite intentions. Okay. First of all, while going to Innsbruck, I had in mind to go to University of Innsbruck, study, get my degree, and go back to Nigeria. So it was clear to me.
Yeah.
Yes. In short, what delayed me for just 1 year was for me to complete my psychotherapy training, because I finished my doctorate. I got my doctorate degree in 1984, but I hadn't finished my psychotherapy training. So I had to wait till 1985 to finish my psychotherapy training. And as soon as I got it, I left for Nigeria.
Okay.
So I had a definite, let me say I didn't have that Japa syndrome, okay? Yeah. I didn't go to Austria to make money and all that, all right?
Yeah.
Then when I also came to Vienna, I came on a kind of long-term sabbatical leave, right? Because I was already a lecturer in the university. The university had to allow me to go for 1 year, and then after 1 year, I applied again, they renewed it, and so on and so forth. So I had a place in Nigeria, secured job in Nigeria, and I knew that I am here to, I actually came to have time to write some books and write some articles and all that. But because I had to survive also, And because I also qualified to work in Austria, I had to, get that job in Ips and the Donau, Therapy Centrum Ips and the Donau. And at the same time, I I was, I had good relationship with some lecturers at the University of Vienna, and they advised me also to apply for part-time lectureship in at the University of Vienna, and I applied and I was given that. So, and because I was also, I, I had all the all that is required to open up a private practice. I also did it, and I was, working on weekends, in my practice and all that. So, but then I told myself, once I finish what I came to Vienna to do, I will leave.
Okay.
And I was focused, I was determined, and immediately I finished it, I left.
And maybe this
Okay.
was important for you. Yeah.
Yeah, yes. So that determination and, remaining focused is very, very important for me.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even though then I didn't go back to my university in Nigeria. I got another opportunity to be a lecturer at the University of Limpopo in South Africa. A colleague of mine that went there wrote me saying there's a position, in case you are interested in coming to South Africa. So instead of now going back to Nigeria, I wrote them, South Africa. They interviewed me on the phone, online, and I did very well. So they offered me 3 years of contract to come to South Africa and lecture. So I said, well, 3 years, it's okay, 3 years is not too much. Let me go and see what is in South Africa. Eventually, I worked with some of my colleagues there. We even worked on Ubuntu therapy and all that. And incidentally, funny enough, instead of staying for 3 years, I stayed for 12 good years. I couldn't believe it myself, Yeah, my children, they started going to school. My wife started, also her own education there. And well, such things then kept me for 12 good years. Then after 12 years, by then my wife has gotten her PhD in English. My first child has gotten his degree, and the other one is still, in the secondary school. So I said, no, I have to leave now, you know.
The
Yeah, I have to
best time
leave
to leave
after
them.
12 years.
Yeah.
If not, I will not be able to leave again, So, so after 12 years, then I left for Nigeria. I had no reason whatsoever to leave for Nigeria, but it was that my determination to go home and continue my contribution to the development of my country. Yeah. So that was it.
So that's what's meaningful to you.
Yes.
I was following you and I thought, where is it the strong roots you have? You said it's determination, and I was picturing what is this? I need some bodily picture, and I thought of a tree and roots, and then I thought, yes, but also it's you want to contribute, but maybe also you want to nourish or get something like you. This is meaningful to you to do something for the place you came from.
Yes, sure. When for you to be self-fulfilled, self-fulfillment, um, self, um, how do you say, Selbstentfaltung in German, self-actualization. For you to feel, for me to feel self-actualized, I need to have that feeling that I have made a significant contribution to the society where I come from.
Mm.
Yeah, that is for me. Okay. And remember also, in between, I became the president for World Council for Psychotherapy African chapter.
Mm.
Okay. In other words, I'm representing the whole of Africa in the World Council for Psychotherapy.
Mm.
That's one of the reasons why I came to Vienna for that World Congress. So I need to take my people along. I need to make that impact, in Africa. It is like a calling. It's like it's a passion. It's a passion. So I need to really follow my passion. And in client-centered psychotherapy, you talk of genuineness, unconditional positive regard, and empathy. I need to be genuine to myself. I need to be sure that whatever labels or whatever conditions of work that people place on me, which is not part of me, that I reject it and that I remain myself. I need to feel in touch, constantly feel in touch with my feelings and with my behaviors and with my, my ideas and ambitions. So all through, while gathering experience here and there, I still want to be myself. I still want to be myself. You see that? Yeah. So that's.
What an inspiring point you make. I'm looking for the time. My question is, if you have another question?
I think it would be perfect to end here actually, because now I feel you and I
Nourished.
feel connected, and that's what
Yeah.
I hoped for.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So,
I just would like to say a few sentences, but I'm not sure if you would like to say some more sentences, Madu. Professor Madu, I'm sorry.
Hey, call me Sylvester.
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 Is there anything on your mind, heart, soul, spirit that is important for you to express?
Well, is it in relation to the person-centered psychotherapy, or is it just in general?
In general, anything that came up before we say goodbye, maybe?
Concerning your person or your life or whatever.
Okay. Yeah. One thing is I would cherish it if with time the School of Psychotherapy, we have a kind of connection, a kind of collaboration, with respect to the School of Psychotherapy and Health Sciences. We are already doing our best, but I know that by collaborating with some of you, it will even go better. No one knows it all, as I said before.
Yes.
Yeah. So I would cherish collaboration with you. For now, as I said, we are doing internship, for postgraduate students, 3 months internship, 6 months internship, 1 year internship, as the case may be. Then we also offer them eigentherapy, self-experience in psychotherapy, and we also treat some clients, and then we also run the International Journal for Psychotherapy in Africa. But one thing I would still love to add to what we've been doing is establishing a rehabilitation center. Which will be part of the school, or it can also be an independent institution where we'll be able to be rehabilitating, for example, drug addicts, people who have severe mental and psychological problems, people who need to be rehabilitated. So we need to I am dreaming, let's say, of having a rehabilitation center, but with what I have around, I will need collaboration.
Okay.
Yeah, I will need collaboration.
Okay.
Yeah. A rehabilitation center. We've already bought, a piece of land, which is like, say, 3 or 4 acres of land, very big, and we have fenced it around, but we've not been able to start anything there. We're just cultivating, food crops for now. But the original intention is eventually to establish a rehabilitation center there.
And you
we
said,
cannot do it. We cannot do it alone.
yeah, you said no one knows it all, and I would add, and that's what you said actually, no one can do it on his or her own. So if there's anything where you have the idea we could be helpful or whatever, just let us know, of course.
Okay, sure. If one expresses interest in collaborating with us, then we can now talk concretely on how and where and when and all that. But
Okay.
that is something that we really need, and the society, because it's growing so fast, westernization going so fast, and transformation, as you mentioned, transition. These times of transition comes with both positive and negative sides to it. The internet, then before you know it, AI, artificial intelligence, and so on and so forth. Things are moving so fast that if care is not taken, you get lost in the whole development because it's developing too fast, And young people who are not, very determined and focused on what they want, they get lost in it. And before you know it, you see them, getting trapped in drug addiction, getting trapped in culturally undesirable things and behaviors. And they need to be rehabilitated.
Thank you for sharing your vision, and thank you for sharing your pathway and your way and your power. I really feel inspired. Thank you so much for your joining us.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Yes.
Fine.
I appreciate speaking with you. Yes. I'm really happy to have, we have cross-pollinated ideas.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much, and all the best to you. And looking forward to see you somewhere around.
Yeah, thank you.